Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. So today I have a super interesting video to share with you guys. I'm going to be talking about this regression experience that I went through, this therapy that is called Back to the Beginning, translated into English. And I'm so excited to share this experience with all of you because it is amazing. I'm probably gonna have to wear my glasses for this because I'm blind and I have so many notes. So first of all, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the therapy itself, what it is, what it does, how it works, who performed this on me. The therapy is called Back to the Beginning. It's really a regression, and it's just so complicated to explain because it touches so many points that are so important in every person's life, even every person's soul. So as I said, I'm very spiritual. I believe in higher beings. I believe that we are ascending to a higher dimension. I believe that we are here for a reason and for a purpose. We have a mission or several missions in this current life that we are living. So I am beyond excited to share this information with you guys, and I'm so sorry if this video will be very long. So the person that performed this therapy on me, her name is Marianela Segovia. So I had this performed on me in Costa Rica on November 10th. It was Saturday and it was 10 a.m. So it was amazing. The therapy usually takes about an hour and 30 minutes for normal people, but it took me 3 hours to have this performed on me, and it was amazing. I was just amazed. This is something that this woman has you print, and you have to bring it to your therapy session. So basically you fill out this as she's doing the therapy. So when she's doing this therapy, basically you're awake. She does not need to touch you at all. You're aware, and you know, you're not asleep or hypnotized or whatever. So basically I have this for my notes because all my memories or everything that she told me is right here. Pardon me, but let's begin. How did I find out about this therapy, about this woman? How did I find out about this? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an intro. So basically my mom, she became very obsessed with the idea of angels. She was finding or trying to find a way to get out of her depression by finding something that she truly loved. And she became obsessed with angels and that whole realm of angels and spirituality. And back then I was in the 5th grade and I thought, what is going on with my mom? I thought she was crazy, and I never understood. But then as I grew up, when I was, like, the older I got, the more I became obsessed with that stuff. So I should now mention that ever since I was a little kid, ever since I have memory, ever since I can remember anything, I have always seen things that nobody can, like, you know, spirits, ghosts, angels, demons, anything you want to call them. I have always seen them. When I was a kid, the first thing I remember seeing are angels, and I don't see them as often anymore. But my point with this is I was already born, like I was born with something, you know, a little bit off. I remember hearing noises or hearing voices, hearing things that normal people couldn't. So I was naturally drawn to these things, but that's not it. As I grew up, I started to realize I had other gifts, or what have you, whatever you want to call them. I dreamed of things that later on became true. So you could call them predictions. I heard voices in my dreams, or a voice actually, to be specific, telling me things that would happen, or telling me things, and then later on I would just wake up and whatever I heard in my dream happened. So you can call that predictions. I could see myself sleeping. I could see my soul or whatever leaving my body, and I could see myself sleeping. I've had alien experiences that I am a little bit ashamed of talking about, because you know, some people talk about ghosts and people think you're crazy, that shit's not real. But then you talk about aliens and that's when people think, oh my god, you need help, you need Jesus in your life. And so basically, I'm just trying to tell you guys, I have experiences that most people, normal people, don't experience. So basically, my mom just came across this woman because, you know, of all these things that we like. Also, my mom does Reiki, which means that she can heal with her hands. I do that as well. She's certified. I'm not. I have yet to do that. But anyway, now let's begin. I am so sorry for that long ass intro. Anyway, something important to mention is that I did ask this woman for her permission to, you know, just mention her name and her therapy and all that. I want to show you guys a picture of her because she is 70 years old and she looks 50. It's unbelievable. She looks young because of the therapy that she does. She does so many things, and part of this therapy is that she basically can make you look, you know, younger, can make your wrinkles kind of like fade away, and it's just amazing. But anyway, how does she do this? How does this work? Now, this is the sketchy part. I am not the best person at explaining anything at all, but I'm gonna try my best. So basically, she says that the human brain is basically a laptop or a computer, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, if you want to do anything to a computer, you just need to know how the computer works. So computers work with a binary system with zeros and ones. And apparently our brains work the same way with zeros and ones. So you just really need to learn how to read whatever you want to get out of your brain or get out of the person's brain. She also needs like a series of passwords in order to have access to your brain. And I know this sounds crazy, but I swear to God it's real. Like, I swear to God. I have recordings of this. I don't know if I can put them up. I guess I could. So she needs passwords. These passwords are basically your full name, your current age, your birth date, and also the current date. She also needs to say her name out loud, her full name, and other stuff. But I don't want to reveal much information because I don't know how private this is. But anyway, that's how it works. She also uses a pendulum, and basically I'm going to insert a picture here or here, whatever. And basically that pendulum is made up of metal, silicium, and quartz, which makes or allows to make a connection with the human brain. So it's very interesting. So she says the series is numbers and just stuff, and it also sounds almost like she's speaking in a different language. It's also important to mention, for those who don't even know, that, you know, your brain doesn't work in English or Spanish or French or whatever your native language is. It works with a binary system. People, every single person watching this, every single person on earth, every person that is living is here for a reason. As cheesy as that may sound, you are here to complete missions and to fulfill a purpose. So that's what you're here for. Every single person has a soul, and that soul has a purpose. So before you are born into this world, you literally plan out your entire life. You plan out where you are going to be born, which country, which city. If you're going to be born into a wealthy family, into a medium class family, you pick out your parents, your family. You literally plan out your life. Even the bad things. So if you wind up being an alcoholic, you picked that for a reason. And that has to do with your mission, and you may not even know it. So first of all, she gives you a general diagnosis. And my first... Well, this general diagnosis tells you things about your soul. So basically my soul has amnesia. It doesn't remember a lot of lessons that it learned. And just so many things, like for instance, open dimensional doors that, for instance, she said that my like when I go to sleep and even when I'm awake, my soul gets out or leaves my body and just kind of like travels around and goes to a different dimension and to a different universe, like parallel universe. And so yeah, girl is like, you know, not really here, which makes a lot of sense because when I'm sleeping, I can actually see myself like leaving my body, if that makes any sense. Then soul exchange. Sorry, I'm reading this in Spanish and translating it into English as I'm, you know, reading this. So problems with authority levels with and just like electrical errors in my brain. I have a type of epilepsy. It's not like the horrible kind, so that would make sense. Then she talked about the evolution level accomplished. Well, she said that I am a superior soul. I am a solar monitor or a stellar seed. I have a wandering soul, a free spirit. Then she told me that I was born an indigo. And I'm not making this up. You can see this is kind of personal, but you know, whatever, fuck it. That I am an indigo and my level is like sky blue. You're supposed to be like an indigo. The indigo's level is supposed to be blue, but mine is pre-indigo, which is sky blue, so I'm almost there. She said that when I was born, I came here kind of with a mission to become full-on indigo by the age of 6.5 or 7, and that by the age of 7 I should have become a full-on indigo and I should have mutated my DNA, and I will explain that DNA, the DNA thing later on in the video, which is very fucking interesting. Something also important to note is that this woman is not very spiritual. She is so scientific. She is a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a sex therapist. She is a therapist. She is just everything there is to, you know, be. She's amazing. Now, for the people that don't really believe in those things, like, listen up because this is really interesting. It's fine if you don't believe, but she even gives you the lowest vibrating frequency that your brain has, or that your brain is working at that moment when she is like basically absorbing all this information. And that number was 8.8 hertz, and the highest frequency was 79.9 at the very beginning of the therapy session. Then she told me the percentage of my temperature, which means that my blood is basically kind of like stuck, is not actually flowing properly due to the fact that I do not breathe correctly, which makes so much sense because, you know, people, when you go to the doctor, doctors tell you you should breathe with your, like, I don't know, with your belly, like you should breathe in this way, but no, I breathe in with my chest. So when you don't breathe correctly, your blood is not flowing properly, so it kind of like just it's kind of stuck in one place, and that wherever it's stuck, it basically means that you're getting sick, and that place is getting sick, whether it's your arm or just like whatever. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just so cool. Also, she told me that I have anxious behavior, which is obvious when you watch any of my videos, you can tell that. Then she gives you a percentage, or she tells you the percentage that she takes by basically, okay, how do I explain this? Basically, what this means is that my body on Earth and my soul on Earth is only here actually paying attention to the human world a 7%. And like, if you don't believe me, like I'm showing you right now. 7%. I don't know if you can see that. I'm sorry. But the thing is, it's crazy because my entire life I was like told, you're so weird, you're just never really paying attention, you have ADHD, you're like always distracted, you're always depressed, you're always like anxious, you're like just never really here. Which she explained by saying that when your soul is not from Earth, or when your soul comes from a very different part of the universe or galaxy or wherever your soul is from, you just never feel like right at home because you're not at home. So she went on to say that I come from Alpha Centauri. I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's where my soul comes from. This is the closest solar system to Earth. It's actually only like 4.6 light years away. So it's actually really close compared to, you know, galaxies or different planets, blah, 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 different solar systems. She also goes on to talk about the missions that you have on Earth, and she told me mine. So that's what I'm going to tell you guys right now. So the first one is learn how to love someone and to let them love me just as much. Number 2, maintain health, because apparently my soul and my body just doesn't know how to do that, which makes a lot of sense because I was born with a syndrome that affects my entire body. Then I have depression, anxiety, and I mentioned I do have a type of epilepsy, amongst a lot of other things that I don't feel comfortable sharing right now. But basically, yeah, I get sick a lot all the time. My third mission is to mutate my DNA, which I will explain in a second. And my fourth and last mission is to teach people about the universe, to teach people about souls, to teach people about purposes, missions, and why we are here. To teach them everything that we think we know, but we don't. According to this woman, I have accomplished 94% of my missions here on Earth. 94%, which is great. But she also gives you a percentage, like a specific percentage of how difficult it is going to be for you to accomplish the rest. So the 6% left for me to, you know, accomplish all these missions. So it is going to be very hard, to the point that basically it's a 69% of difficulty for me to finish my missions here, to complete my missions. I was supposed to mutate my DNA at 6.5 years old, and I will be explaining that right now. So I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor. I wish I were. I don't know, I wish I could just validate this in ways that you could be like, oh my god, she's right, like yes, let's believe her. Like if you don't want to, it's fine, but I swear to God, I'm being honest with you. And I'm so passionate about this, and I think it's so obvious that I am right now. Anyway, every single molecule is made up of carbon-12, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. So let's just explain real quick. We have 3 brains. The humans, we have 3 brains. The first one was, I will explain this in detail if you really want me to, if you leave a comment down below about it. But basically the first one that we have is physical. It's right here. And it is basically the animalistic animal brain, which basically makes us reproduce, which makes us think about everything like animals from an animal perspective, because that's the first brain. Instincts and stuff, that is the first brain. The second brain gave us emotions. So we didn't only think of instincts. We didn't only think that we had to reproduce. We didn't only think that we were, you know, mothers with our offsprings and whatever. No, now we are mothers with our offsprings, and I can love my offspring. So if I'm a dog, I can love my puppy. I can fear for my puppy. You develop emotions and feelings. That came around with the second brain. And the third brain is actually a brain that allows us to rationalize, to analyze things, to think, okay, sure, I'm going to reproduce, but I will love my child. But am I ready to have a child? Am I ready to become a mother? So it allows you to think and analyze and put things in order. It allows you to be who you are today. So why am I telling you guys this? I'm telling you guys this because we're moving on to our fourth brain right now. So right now we are developing our fourth brain. This brain is not physical anymore. This brain is almost like a chakra, if you know what that means. It's an essence. It's like a spirit. It's like a vibration. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. You can't tell how heavy it is. However, back in the 1960s, you took a human skull and you could see a slight difference around this area. You can look this up. There are articles out there that will prove that this is real. So basically, the fourth brain is going to be about us becoming higher in evolution. The fourth brain is going to allow us to have like superpowers. What are these so-called superpowers? These so-called superpowers allow us to heal with our hands. These so-called superpowers are going to allow us to hear things that we can't, to see things that we usually can't. These so-called superpowers can allow us to read minds. These so-called powers can allow us to predict the future. These so-called powers can allow us to even fly. Everything is in the brain. Everything that you could think is impossible, we can actually do it, but it's going to take a while. Now this will make a little bit more sense. She said that from 2003 and so on, every single child, every single person born on this planet already comes with their fourth brain. However, just because you're born with your fourth brain, it doesn't mean that you're going to see ghosts, or that you're going to be able to read someone's mind, or that you're going to be able to move a pencil without touching it. It doesn't mean any of that, because if you're not aware of what you can do, how are you going to do it? This fourth brain is going to allow us to move into a higher dimension and higher vibration and frequency. We're moving on to the fifth dimension and skipping the fourth dimension. Let me just explain. The fourth dimension is a dimension where basically time becomes relative. So time and space, they don't really exist anymore. They're relative. And then you go on to the fifth dimension. And the fifth dimension, basically, that's the dimension where angels live. And if you don't believe me, I can also back this up with some videos that I'm going to link down below. If you speak Spanish, great. If you don't, then don't watch those videos because they're in Spanish. I'm sorry. Also, let me just explain that the universe doesn't work the way we think it does. Like, we are built to think that everything works like in a line, in a straight line. But that's not how the universe works. So we think, okay, we're in the third dimension. How in the fucking hell we're going to go from dimension 3 to the fifth dimension? You have to go through the fourth. How are you going to skip that one? The universe works like in layers. So basically you go from the thicker layer to the thinner layer. So from the outer layer to the inner layer. That's how it works. So now, what does this have to do with the mutation of your DNA? So it was found that these kids that have like mental issues like depression, anxiety, and all of these things, ADHD, just things that didn't make sense, that you didn't find in kids before. So a doctor took a lot of kids and she was basically studying them, and these kids had, mental issues like depression and all of that. Her name is Dr. Brenda Fox. And basically she found that these kids actually had 4 helices in their DNA and not 2 like we think that all humans, have. So according to her, in this evolution, in this ascension, we're going to move on to have 12 helices, 6 on one side and then 6 on the other side. So she actually proved this back in like the 60s or 50s. But like Einstein, she was discredited. She was told, you're crazy, that's not possible, that's stupid. And you can actually find that on YouTube if you want. You can go look it up right now. Dr. Brenda Fox. So yeah. So what does this have to do with this? So now we're going through an important climate change, or global warming, whatever you want to call it. And yes, the sun is about to get much worse. It's going to get hotter. So basically, like I said, we have carbon-12, but we're going to have to move on to have carbon-7. So we're going to have to mutate our own DNA if we want to continue living on this planet. Why is that? So basically, carbon-12 allows you to cook up anything much easier. So for instance, you can buy carbon-12 to, basically have a barbecue. But carbon 7, if you buy carbon 7, it's going to take a lot longer for you to make a burger, to make, you know, anything. So this means that if you don't mutate your DNA, or if your body isn't naturally mutating your DNA, you're kind of like gonna burn out, meaning that you're probably gonna get cancer, because the sun is burning every single person alive, literally, and we have no idea. Let's move on to the most important, juiciest things that you want to know. So basically, she told me that my main belief is that life is insecure. She told me that my 5 hidden fears or like fears that I'm aware of are the future, open spaces, to make mistakes, men, which yeah, basically disapproval, critics, and people just bullying me. She told me that I have 3 chakras that are kind of blocked, and that is my first chakra. It's disconnected in 92%. The first chakra makes you grounded to earth. And as I explained earlier in this video, I am basically only a 7%. So this chakra is altered in 92%, affecting my bones, my bladder. Chakra number 2, it affects your like sexual life, your love life, just everything. Apparently this has to do with me not being able to love someone the way they love me, not being able to accept love itself. And then we have the 6th chakra, which is altered, which is the 3rd eye. It's altered because it's open, and since it's so open, my 3rd eye, it's affecting me, giving me depression and making me lose my mind. Like, it's so open, and it's all this information is coming into my brain that it is like making me crazy because I can't organize my thoughts, or just all this information I'm receiving. Now we're moving on to the most interesting part to me, my past lives. She talked about 4 past lives because she focused on talking about past lives that are currently affecting my soul and my life. So the first past life she talked about was prostitution. So I was forced into being a prostitute at 9 years old. I was a woman, of course, and in Occidental Europe in 1679. I was killed in a femicide. It was awful, apparently. And it was in the Zona de Mara, that's in Spanish, which to me just basically translates to that being in southern Spain. This life affected me to the point that I am just terrified of men, according to her. And this is really personal, but I've always kind of hated men. It sounds awful. Not all men, and it's not anything personal against one man in particular. Apparently, I was born thinking this way because of that life. And I didn't tell her any of this. So that really touched me because it makes so much sense. Past life number 2. So I had a very religious life. I was also a female. I was a nun in a convent. I was 15 years old in Central Europe. This was in 1344. Basically, this affected me to the point that my brain has a program called personal invisibility, separation, sacrifice, and flagellation. I don't know if that's how you say it in English, but I didn't even know what it meant in Spanish, so I looked it up, and it means, you know, how you can see a monk in the Da Vinci Code whipping himself. That is basically what I did. Life number 3. I was a male. I was a merchant. I was 55 years old when I died. I was a mix of Arabic races in Central Asia, 1709. And then the fourth life was the most recent life that I had, the most recent one. I was a pregnant woman. I was 2 months pregnant. I had an abortion and that cost me a lot of depression. I guess I couldn't have children, and then I was like happy because I was pregnant or whatever, and I had an abortion. It gave me depression. This was in 1911, and I became so depressed that I ingested poison. I don't know if I was taken to a hospital, if someone found me alive or whatever, because that cost me surgery. Disconnection of the brain. So I don't know, back then when you were depressed, back in that time, you know, you had electroshock therapy performed on you, and that was pretty traumatizing. Also, it was really traumatizing to learn about my past lives. Something that's also very interesting that she told me is that I made a pact before I came to this world. My soul made a pact with another soul that if by age 29 I hadn't accomplished my missions here on earth, I was going to go into a coma or whatever, and my soul was going to leave my body for good, and then another soul that was superior was going to come into my body, and I was going to keep living with that soul for the rest of my life. It's important to know that she removes, she cleanses, she cleans the bad programs that you come with. So for instance, invisibility, escape. So I am here to basically learn how to be a woman and to live in this world as long as I have to, and not end my life before I'm supposed to leave. I have to learn how to love and how to be loved equally. I am here to teach people about everything that I can. I am here to heal with my hands. I am here to communicate with higher beings. And I am supposed to be basically at conferences like alien conferences and spiritual conferences and stuff like that. And that's basically my destiny, what I should be doing. And finally, my soul, this is the last time my soul will be in the third dimension. I'm going to move on to the fifth dimension after I die. So this is my last time here. She said that I was born with the fourth brain. So yeah, it's just crazy. I know it's been probably like an hour of me talking. Sorry for the long video. Hope you liked this. Hope that it guides you somehow. Hope you can take time out of your day to watch this, and just thank you so much for watching. If you want to talk to me, I will leave my Instagram and just Facebook, Twitter, whatever. If you want to contact me, Snapchat, down below so that you can contact me if you're interested at all. Thank you so much again, and bye guys.